this being almost Halloween, I thought I'd share with you a story, a ghost story. And this is one my granny used to tell us when we were little kids. It's called The Haunted 12-Pack. And it's kind of a cautionary story. It's about drinking last in a 12-pack, and that's something you just didn't do at my granny's house, because boy, she'd catch you drinking the last beer, she'd send you out in the yard and get a switch for it, and she'd wear you out, boy, I'll tell you what. But anyway, here's the story. Now, way back in the woods, off from the road, there's this old boy named Rufus Scudder, and he lived in an old trailer just about 15-20 miles outside of town. And one night he was heading out in his old truck to get him some beer, and now he wasn't but halfway there when his old truck broke down. Now, being halfway there, he figured, well, I can go back home without any beer, or I can walk the same distance and get some beer and probably have a better chance of getting me a ride home, being, you know, in the city limits and all that. So he figured he'd just walk up towards the town. And now he hadn't got far though before up at the top of the hill he saw this eerie blue light glowing. And not being a superstitious fella, he figured, you know, it's probably just some cop pulling somebody over, whatever. So he walks up to the top of the hill. Now, off on the side of the road, when he gets there, he sees the blue light is coming from the bushes next to the road. And so he's looking in there, and he sees a 12-pack of beer just laying there. So he figures, damn, it's my lucky night. So he picks it up and carries it on back towards his truck. And now he hadn't gone too much further when he realized that he's getting kind of thirsty. So he reaches into that 12-pack box and pulls out a can, and it's ice cold. It's just like it came out of the cooler. And he's like, man, this is my lucky night. So he cracks one open, and just as soon as he cracks it open, a booming voice comes out of nowhere and says, Rufus, Rufus Scudder, don't drink the last beer. Now, like I said, he wasn't a superstitious kind of fella, so he figured, you know, it's got to be somebody just messing with him. And so he drinks that beer, and it's just as fine as it could be. And so he's feeling a little bit better, so he keeps on walking toward his truck. And, you know, he's about halfway to where his truck is. He starts getting thirsty again, pulls out another beer, and as soon as he cracks that sucker open, he hears the voice again. Rufus, Rufus Scudder, don't drink the last beer. So, well, now, he's thinking that this is just kind of silly, but he's starting to get a little bit of a buzz going, so he's just going to be cool with it. So he drinks that beer, and he gets back to his truck and figures, well, you know, might as well rest up a little bit. It's still kind of a long walk home. So I just sit up in my truck and drink me a couple more of them beers. So he's just kicking back and sitting in his truck, drinking some beers, and every time he'd open one up, that voice would come back. Rufus, Rufus Scudder, don't drink the last beer. Well, now, by this time, he's getting him a pretty good buzz going. He don't care about any voices, and he hadn't even really noticed, but each one of these beers that he would open up was just as cold as the last one. Just as nice, like it had come right out of the cooler. And so he's sitting back just enjoying his beers, and he gets down to the last beer. Now, by this time, he's not caring one way or the other about any crazy voices or anything. He ain't figured out what it is, but he don't care. So he takes that there last beer, cracks it open, and this time there ain't no voice. But all of a sudden, beer starts shooting out of it like a fire hose, filling him up, filling his mouth, filling his head, shooting out his nose, shooting down his belly, and he can't get the beer can away from his mouth. It's stuck there. He's holding on to it. Beer is just pouring down him, just like somebody hooked him up to a beer hydrant. And now he don't know what to do, but his belly's getting bigger and bigger. Now it's pressing up against the steering wheel, and now it's filling up the passenger side. Now it's stuffing up into the dashboard, up into the windshield, kind of pouring out the side windows. It's looking like a can of Spam that somebody left out in the sun. And he doesn't know what to do, but that beer just keeps on pouring and pouring and pouring in there. And he just keeps on getting fatter and fatter and bigger and more bloated. And all of a sudden he passes out and doesn't wake up until the next morning when he hears a tap on his windshield, looks up, feeling more hungover than he's ever been in his life, and notices that it's Deputy Bobby. And now Deputy Bobby's been out to his place a number of times and has had a few discussions with Rufus, shall we say, and takes one look at Rufus and says, "Well, I'm sorry, Rufus, being in the condition you're in, all these empties up here in the cab of your truck, I'm going to have to take you in. Now, we've had this talk before. You can't be driving when you've been drinking like that. So we're going to have to take you in and book you on DUI. We'll test you down at the station." So Rufus ain't in much of a mood to argue, so he gets in the patrol car and he's going down towards town. And about halfway there, on the side of the road, there is a beer truck flipped over down in the ditch. And it's still smoldering. There's fire trucks all around it. And it's just a mess. It's all twisted and just horrible. And, you know, Deputy Bobby was saying, "Man, I've been a deputy for 10 years, and I can tell you, ain't nobody walked away from that accident. But, you know, the funny thing is, we didn't find no body in there, and there also ain't no beer in there. That's the weird thing, 'cause I know he wasn't done making his deliveries. I bet we'll have to find that body somewhere off in the woods. It must have fallen out." But Rufus knew better. Rufus knew they'd never find that driver, and they'd never find that beer, because Rufus drunk the last beer. So, as a cautionary tale, remember, if you ever find a 12-pack of beer on the side of the road, or if you're at somebody's house drinking beer that you didn't buy, don't ever drink the last beer. Happy Halloween, guys. Be talking at you soon. Bye now.